Hello and welcome back to another Blender tutorial. My name is Dino, and in this tutorial we are going to create a paper plane and we are also going to animate it. So first thing, we need to open our Blender, and as you can see we are now in 2.8 Blender, which you can get from blender.org, which is their website, and I'm going to create a new file under general. Let me just go full screen here. Turn on my screencast so you can see what I'm pressing. I'm going to hide that, and now I'm going to create a new workspace by dragging this corner up, and we are going to change our workspace to be image editor. Under image I'm going to open image which I saved on the desktop, and it's going to be white paper airplane, and this picture will be our reference image. So this is what we are going to create. Next, we need to delete our default cube, and with Shift and A we are going to create a new plane. And now let's go in top orthographic view by pressing 7 on a keyboard, and let's move in edit mode, and we are going to create an edge loop by pressing Ctrl and R, and here we are going to create edge loop. Let me just zoom in so we can see it better. Now I'm going to delete those vertices, and I'm going to select everything by pressing A. Under modifier I'm going to add mirror modifier. So now if you move these vertices, this vertex here or this one, you can see that on the other side is also moving. So that's what mirror modifier is doing. Let me just turn on clipping under mirror modifier, and I'm going to move this vertex here by pressing G and move it closer to the middle to about here. Let me just zoom in so we can see it better, and with Ctrl and R I'm going to create edge loop here, and let's select this one and this one and move it in front orthographic view by pressing 1 on a numpad. And now with G and Z I'm going to move this down, and as you can see we got here basic shape of our paper plane. So let's continue. Now I'm going to move this closer to the middle. I'm going to lock actually on X, and this one as well, and let's move this further by pressing G and lock on a Y like this. And now in top orthographic view I'm going to create a new edge loop by pressing Ctrl R. This time it's going to be here. I created edge loop here because I want to make this folding part as it is on our reference image. So now let's select those vertices, those two, and let's move in front orthographic view by pressing 1 on a numpad. Let me just zoom in so we can see it better. And with extrude I'm going to move our edge, actually create a new face here on a Z-axis. And now let's move in top orthographic view, and again with E I'm going to create a new face like this one. And now let's select these 4 vertices, first those 4, and we are going to create a new face by pressing F on a keyboard. And let's also do it for this part here as well, those 3. And let's move in top orthographic view, and as you can see we got only one vertex here at the top, so we need to move our top vertex where the top is. And now let's move this up like this, and here also we need to move this down where the folding part is. So I selected those two, and with extrude I'm going to create this folding part as it is. like this. And now I'm going just to merge those vertices. So here I'm going to merge those two by pressing Alt and M, and you will be able to see this merge window, and I'm going to merge those two at the center. And now you can start modeling a little bit more to make perfect paper plane as it is. So for example, we can move this vertex down, something like this, and this one closer to the middle, and this one as well. By the way, I'm going to lock on X, move it just on X, something like this. And let's see in right orthographic view what we got. We can also merge those two. I'm going also to move this a little bit up, a little bit further as well, so about here, and this one as well up, this one a little bit down. And as you can see, we are done with our paper plane. And now let's add another modifier, which is solidifier. So we got a little bit more thickness to our paper, and I'm satisfied with this, what I got here. Only this part we could move a little bit up. And we are done with our paper plane. Maybe we can turn on X-ray and move this a little bit inside to be this line straight. Let's turn it off. And we are done with our paper plane. Only we should move this edge here a little bit down. So I'm going to select this edge, and I'm going to move it further, and just to match this shadow here as it is. And now we are done with our paper plane. Now let's go back in object mode, and let's move in front orthographic view and move our plane a little bit up, and with Shift and C make sure that your 3D cursor is right here in the middle. Now let's deselect our plane, and we are going to create a new circle. Let's scale this circle up to about here, and with the tab I'm going to enter in edit mode, and we are going to create a face. So let's scale it up, something like this. So make sure that your plane is right here in the middle. And now I'm going to insert face to match our size of our plane. So we got space around the plane. And now I'm going to delete this face that I created. And I created this ring around plane because I want this ring to emit our smoke where our plane is going to land. Now while I'm in this edit mode, I'm going to select everything, and with the right mouse button I'm going to open this menu, and I'm going to subdivide our ring, and here under subdivide I'm going to increase number of cuts. So now let's go back in object mode, and here under this icon here you can add particle. So now let's move our timeline a little bit up so we can see it, and if you play you can see that our particle is falling down, which is good. So let's stop our animation and let's go back on our first frame. So now first thing, let's move our 3D cursor to the side, and here we are going to create a new metaball. And here under metaball we are going to play with resolution, but for now we are going to keep it as it is. And now let's go back on our particle settings, and here first thing we are going to turn off gravity under field weights, so turn it off to 0 and make sure that your render is not as halo but as an object. And here we are going to pick our instance object to be our metaball, and we are going to turn off everything here. So now if you play animation, our ring is going to emit this metaball that we created. Next thing, let's decrease number of our frames that we are going to use, make it 100. And now let's play on our animation and let's increase our scale here under our particles, and we are going to turn on scale randomness to 1. And as you can see, it's not good, it's some weird effects going on. That's because we need to increase resolution of our metaballs. So I'm going to stop our animation, make sure that you are on the first frame, and now here I'm going to play with resolution. So lower number means higher resolution of metaball, as you can see. So we are going to keep it as it is, so 0.05, maybe that's too much resolution. Let's make it 0.1 in render as well, like this. So let's stop and let's go back on our particle settings, and here we are going to increase number of particles that our ring is emitting to 2000. So 2000 here, and you can play with seed as well. And let's decrease our end of our particles to be 100 as it is, because we have 100 frames right now in our animation. So let's stop, let's go back on our first frame, and now with Shift and C we are going to return our 3D cursor in the middle of our grid, and let's deselect everything, and with Shift and A we are going to create a force field, and we are going to pick force, and here under force settings we are going to increase size to be 50. So let's play our animation, and you can see that it affects our particles. So let's stop our animation and let's go back on our first keyframe, actually first frame, because we still don't have any keyframes in our scene. And we are going to increase flow to be 5, and I want to affect location and rotation as well. We should also increase noise amount and seeds to 128, and I want to turn on gravitation as well. And here under particle systems we are going to change lifetime. We are going to decrease it to 0.5. actually I think it's going to be fine. Now it's actually make it 5, and let's decrease the scale of our metaball to be 0.150. So if you press 0 you will be able to see your default camera. If you don't have your camera you can add one by pressing Shift and A, and here is a camera. And here with with pressing 0 you will be able to see what your camera is looking at. And as you can see, we created our smoke. And don't forget to turn off show emitter, because otherwise you will have this ring rendered in your scene. So let's scale our plane a little bit and let's stop our animation. So now let's animate our plane. So let's go back on the first frame. And with N you will be able to open this transform window. And here I'm going to insert keyframe on a location. And I'm going to go on a last frame, which is 100 frame. And also I'm going to insert the same keyframe for our plane. Now in between on 20th frame I'm going to move our plane a little bit down, and there I'm going to insert keyframe by pressing right click here under location. And on 40th frame I'm going to move our plane a little bit up. Also I'm going to insert another keyframe. On the 60th I'm going to move our plane down again, and with L and X I'm going to rotate on X, and here I'm going to insert keyframe also for rotation. And on the 80th frame I'm going to move it up and rotate a little bit on X as well to about here. Insert keyframe on both location and rotation, and let's play our animation to see what we got. It's good, but we need to change our rotation on our first keyframe to be 0, and here we are going to insert keyframe as well. And now we got this kind of animation. Also for the last frame as well, make sure that it's 0 on rotation everywhere, and insert keyframe there as well. And as you can see, we got our plane moving up and down in this way. So let's add ground for our animation. With Shift and A I'm going to create a plane object, and I'm going to scale it up. In top orthographic view I'm going to move it to the side, something like this. And with G and Z I'm going to move it down. Make sure you don't have empty spaces here where your camera frame is. Now let's also animate our camera. With Shift and Grave key you will be able to control your camera with the keyboard also, and with the mouse as well. So right now I am on a first frame, and I want my first frame to start from here. And as you can see here we have some empty space. I'm going to scale my plane so we don't have any empty space. And here under transform I'm going to insert keyframe, but first make sure that your under scene collection your camera is selected. And here under transform, as I said, I'm going to insert keyframe under location on the first frame. And now I'm going to move on 90th frame, and again with Shift and Grave I'm going to move forward to about here, and here I'm going to insert keyframe. Now if you play animation you can see that our camera is moving closer to our paper plane. It's fine for now. Let's stop our animation and go back on the first frame. Now the next thing that we need to add to our scene is materials and lightings. So I got one really good tip for you guys about materials. So if you go here under edit and under preference and type Blender Kit, there is add-on which is called Blender Kit Asset Library, and make sure you check this box. And if you press now N, here you will be able to see this Blender Kit text, and here you got different categories of different materials that you can add to your scene. So for example, if you pick paper, you can see different paper materials that you can add to your scene. And for our plane, let's try this one. By the way, you are applying materials, just dragging to the object which you would like to be that material. So now if you go in rendered view, actually we add our paper to ground, and we are going to also do it for the plane. And now you can see that our plane got this kind of material. So let's also do it for our ground, and for our ground we can choose, for example, here under dirt we are going to pick this dirt pad. Now I'm going to select our ring, and here under particles I'm going under cache, I'm going to bake our particles, and I'm going to select this little ball here on the first frame, and I'm going to give it material. Here under materials I'm going to change surface to be toon because I want cartoon style of smoke. And let's go in shading. Let's switch to rendered view and play our animation a little bit so we can see more particles. And with Shift and A I'm going to insert color ramp, and I'm going to connect those two, and now I will have more control of the color. I will add one more and change it to darker gray, something like this. And let me see if it's fine. I'm satisfied with it. So let's go back in layout mode and play our animation. That's fine. So let's go back on the first frame. I'm going to select our ground and move it slightly down to about here. Now I'm going to add some lights. With Shift and A under light I'm going to pick sun, and I'm going to change color of this to dark blue, and also I'm going to move it to the side and turn off the shadows. And now again with the Shift and C I'm going to create another one, but this one is going to be a spotlight. And I'm going to select plane, and while I'm having plane and spotlight selected, with Ctrl and P I'm going to set parent to object. So now if you play animation you can see that our light is moving with the paper plane. So let's stop our animation and go back on the first frame. Now I'm going to select only light and move it slightly up to about here, and I'm going to change color of it to red and increase size to be like this. Now we are ready to render our animations, so let's stop our animation, and maybe we should bring this point light, default light, a little bit closer to the ground, something like this. So let's go back on the first frame, and here under render setting I'm going to keep Eevee for this one, but if you want to have full potential of this color of this toon shader you will need to switch to cycles, but for now we are going to keep Eevee, and I'm going to turn on ambient occlusion. You can turn on bloom if you want, but I will not do it for this one. And here under output setting you can choose resolution. Right now is full HD, so I'm going to keep it like that. And here you can change your file format. I'm going to change it to AV, and I'm going to increase quality to 100%. Here you are going to pick where your animation is going to be saved, and I'm going to name it paper plane, accept, And now if you press render under render animation, you can see that your rendering is going to begin. So this is our final animation that we did. I hope you like it, and if you do, please like, share and subscribe to our channel, and if you didn't, let me know in the comments below. And that's it for this tutorial, and see you in the next one. Bye.